chapter 21, that we must rest in God above all goods and gifts. Above all things and in all things thou shalt rest always in the Lord, O my soul, for he himself is the eternal rest of the saints. Grant me, most sweet and loving Jesus, to rest in thee above every creature, above all health and beauty, above all glory and honor, above all power and dignity, above all knowledge and skillfulness, above all riches and arts, above all joy and exultation, above all fame and praise, above all sweetness and consolation, above all hope and promise, above all merit and desire, above all gifts and rewards which thou canst give and pour forth, above all joy and jubilation which the mind is able to receive and feel. In a word, above angels and archangels and all the army of heaven, above all things visible and invisible, and above everything which thou, O my God, art not. For thou, O Lord, my God, art best above all things. Thou only art the Most High, thou only the Almighty, thou only the all-sufficient and the fullness of all things. Thou only the all-delightsome and all-comforting. Thou alone the altogether lovely and altogether loving. Thou alone the most exalted and most glorious above all things, in whom all things are and were and ever shall be altogether and all perfect. And thus it falleth short and is insufficient whatsoever thou givest to me without thyself, or whatsoever thou revealest or dost promise concerning thyself, whilst thou art not seen or fully possessed. Since verily my heart cannot truly rest, nor be entirely content, except it rest in thee, and go beyond all gifts and every creature. O my most beloved spouse, Jesus Christ, most holy lover of my soul, ruler of this whole creation, who shall give me the wings of true liberty, that I may flee to thee and find rest? Oh, when shall it be given to me to open, to receive thee to the full, and to see how sweet thou art, O Lord my God? When shall I collect myself altogether in thee, that because of thy love I may not feel myself at all, but may know thee only above every sense and measure, in measure not known to others? But now I oft times groan and bear my sad estate with sorrow, because many evils befall me in this vale of miseries, which continually disturb and fill me with sorrow, and encloud me, continually hinder and fill me with care, allure and entangle me, that I cannot have free access to thee, nor enjoy that sweet intercourse which is always near at hand to the blessed spirits. Let my deep sighing come before thee, and my manifold desolation on the earth. O Jesus, light of eternal glory, solace of the wandering soul, before thee my mouth is without speech, and my silence speaketh to thee. How long will my Lord delay to come unto me? Let him come unto me, his poor and humble one, and make me glad. Let him put forth his hand and deliver his Holy One from every snare. Come, O come, for without thee shall be no joyful day or hour, for thou art my joy, and without thee is my table empty. I am miserable, and in a manner imprisoned and loaded with fetters, until thou refresh me by the light of thy presence, and give me liberty, and show thy loving countenance. Let others seek some other thing instead of thee, whatsoever it shall please them. But for my part nothing else pleaseth, or shall please, save thou, my God, my hope, my eternal salvation. I will not hold my peace, nor cease to implore, until thy grace return, and until thou speak to me within. Behold, here I am. Behold, I come to thee, for thou didst call me. Thy tears and the longing of thy soul, thy humbleness and contrition of heart have inclined me, and brought me to thee. And I said, Lord, I have called upon thee, and I have longed to enjoy thee, being ready to reject everything for thy sake. For thou didst first move me to seek thee. Therefore, blessed be thou, O Lord, who has wrought this good work upon thy servant, according to the multitude of thy mercy. What then hath thy servant to say in thy presence, save to humble himself greatly before thee, being always mindful of his own iniquity and vileness? For there is none like unto thee in all marvels of heaven and earth. Excellent are thy works, true are thy judgments, and by thy providence are all things governed. Therefore praise and glory be unto thee, O wisdom of the Father. Let my mouth and my soul and all created things praise and bless thee together. Chapter 22. Of the recollection of God's manifold benefits. Open, O Lord, my heart in thy law, and teach me to walk in the way of thy commandments. Grant me to understand thy will and to be mindful of thy benefits, both general and special, with great reverence and diligent meditation, that thus I may be able worthily to give thee thanks. Yet I know and confess that I cannot render thee due praises for the least of thy mercies. I am less than the least of all the good things which thou gavest me, and when I consider thy majesty, my spirit faileth because of the greatness thereof. All things which we have in the soul and in the body, and whatsoever things we possess, whether outwardly or inwardly, naturally or supernaturally, are thy good gifts, and prove thee, from whom we have received them all, to be good, gentle, and kind. Although one receiveth many things and another fewer, yet all are thine, and without thee not even the least thing can be possessed. He who hath received greater cannot boast that it is of his own merit, nor lift himself up above others, nor condemn those beneath him. For he is the greater and the better who ascribeth least to himself, and in giving thanks is the humbler and more devout. And he who holdeth himself to be viler than all, and judgeth himself to be the more unworthy, is the apter for receiving greater things. But he who hath received fewer gifts ought not to be cast down, nor to take it amiss, nor to envy him who is richer, but rather ought he to look unto thee, and to greatly extol thy goodness, for thou pourest forth thy gifts so richly, so freely and largely, without respect of persons. All things come of thee, therefore in all things shalt thou be praised. Thou knowest what is best to be given to each, and why this man hath less, and that more, is not for us, but for thee to understand. For unto thee each man's deservings are fully known. Wherefore, O Lord God, I reckon it even a great benefit not to have many things, whence praise and glory may appear outwardly, and after the thought of men. For so it is that he who considereth his own poverty and vileness ought not only to draw therefrom no grief or sorrow or sadness of spirit, but rather comfort and cheerfulness. Because thou, Lord, hast chosen the poor and humble, and those who are poor in this world, to be thy friends and acquaintance. So give all thine apostles witness, whom thou hast made princes in all lands. Yet they had their conversation in this world blameless, so humble and meek, without any malice or deceit, that they even rejoiced to suffer rebukes for thy name's sake. And what things the world hateth, they embraced with great joy. Acts chapter 5, verse 41. Therefore ought nothing so much to rejoice him who loveth thee and knoweth thy benefits, as thy will in him, and the good pleasure of thine eternal providence, wherewith he ought to be so contented and comforted, that he would as willingly be the least as any other would be the greatest, as peaceable and contented in the lowest as in the highest place. and as willingly held of small and low account, and of no name or reputation, as to be more honorable and greater in the world than others. For thy will and the love of thine honor ought to go before all things, and to please and comfort him more than all the benefits that are given or may be given to himself. Chapter 23. Of 4 things which bring great peace. My son, now I will teach thee the way of peace and of true liberty. Do, O my Lord, as thou sayest, for this is pleasing unto me to hear. Strive, my son, to do another's will rather than thine own. Choose always to have less rather than more. Seek always after the lowest place, and to be subject to all. Wish always, and pray that the will of God be fulfilled in thee. Behold, such a man as this entereth into the inheritance of peace and quietness. O my Lord, this thy short discourse hath in itself much of perfectness. It is short in words, but full of meaning, and abundant in fruit. If it were possible that I should fully keep it, disturbance would not so easily arise within me. For as often as I feel myself disquieted and weighed down, I find myself to have gone back from this teaching. But thou, who art almighty, and always lovest progress in the soul, vouchsafe more grace, that I may be enabled to fulfill thy exhortation and work out my salvation. A prayer against evil thoughts. O Lord my God, be not thou far from me, my God. Haste thee to help me. Psalm 71, verse 12. For many thoughts and great fears have risen up against me, afflicting my soul. How shall I pass through them unhurt? How shall I break through them? I, saith he, will go before thee and make the crooked places straight. Isaiah chapter 45, verse 2. I will open the prison doors and reveal to thee the secret places. Do, Lord, as thou sayest, and let all evil thoughts fly away before thy face. This is my hope and my only comfort, to fly unto thee in all tribulation, to hope in thee, to call upon thee from my heart and patiently wait for thy loving kindness. A prayer for enlightenment of the mind. Enlighten me, blessed Jesus, with the brightness of thy inner light, and cast forth all darkness from the habitation of my heart. Restrain my many wandering thoughts, and carry away the temptations which strive to do me hurt. Fight thou mightily for me, and drive forth the evil beasts, so call I alluring lusts, that peace may be within thy walls, and plenteousness of praise within thy palaces, even in my pure conscience. Command thou the winds and the storms. Say unto the sea, be still. Say unto the stormy wind, hold thy peace. So shall there be a great calm. Psalm 122, verse 7. O send forth thy light and thy truth, that they may shine upon the earth. For I am but earth without form and void, until thou give me light. Psalm 43, verse 3. Pour forth thy grace from above. Water my heart with the dew of heaven. Give the waters of devotion to water the face of the earth, and cause it to bring forth good and perfect fruit. Lift up my mind, which is oppressed with the weight of sins, and raise my whole desire to heavenly things, that having tasted the sweetness of the happiness which is from above, it may take no pleasure in thinking of things of earth. Draw me and deliver me from every unstable comfort of creatures, for no created thing is able to satisfy my desire and to give me comfort. Join me to thyself by the inseparable bond of love, for thou alone art sufficient to him that loveth thee, and without thee all things are vain toys. Chapter 24. Of avoiding of curious inquiry into the life of another. My son, be not curious, nor trouble trouble thyself with vain cares. What is that to thee? Follow thou me. John chapter 21, verse 12. For what is it to thee whether a man be this or that, or say or do thus or thus? Thou hast no need to answer for others, but thou must give an answer for thyself. Why therefore dost thou entangle thyself? Behold, I know all men, and I behold all things which are done under the sun. And I know how it standeth with each one, what he thinketh, what he willeth, and to what end his thoughts reach. All things therefore are to be committed to me. Watch thou thyself in godly peace, and leave him who is unquiet to be unquiet as he will. Whatsoever he shall do or say shall come unto him, for he cannot deceive me. Trouble not thyself about the shadow of a great name, nor about the friendship of many, nor about the love of men towards thee. For these things beget distraction and great sorrows of heart. My word should speak freely unto thee, and I would reveal secrets, if only thou didst diligently look for my appearing, and didst open unto me the gates of thy heart. Be sober, and watch unto prayer, and humble thyself in all things. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 7.